And over to you, Antonia.
Hola, bonjour, guten tag, everybody. Welcome back. Uh-oh. Give me a second. I think I just lost my page. Give me one moment, y'all. Am I still logged in?
Yes.
You are. I put the questions
Okay,
in
good.
the
I found
chat.
it. I got it. Okay. So welcome back, everyone, to our ongoing quest for the culture of empathy. We are recording, as Larry just mentioned, for educational purposes and promotional purposes. We would like to do a short round of check-ins, take up to 30 seconds to share any questions or comments you may have from last week. Talk about your buddy call or any empathy circles that you may have performed last week. I'll call on people. So I'm gonna go according to how I see it on my screen. Let's see. Is that Beata?
Hi, yeah, it's Beata.
Beata.
I'm doing well. I didn't have my buddy call because my buddy has some challenges this week, so we just didn't manage to meet. Yeah, so that's what I want to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Beata. Say that one more time. Your name one more time for me. Is it Beata?
It's Beata, yes.
Okay, thank you, Beata. Is that G or J?
Jay.
J.
Yeah, I had a really good call this week, and it was good because it allowed me to have like a practice of doing the reflecting back, but also being a little bit more conversational about it. And because I think that's probably what I'm gonna, have to do when I'm doing empathy circles with like people I know and friends and circles I'm already involved with, because I don't think that the very structured way is gonna, like, people are necessarily going to, not everyone's gonna vibe with that. So that was a really good thing about that call. And yeah, that's it. Excited for today. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay. Ina?
Hi, yeah. So I'm just realizing that, every so often I'll participate in a life-altering group experience, and this is definitely one of those. So I'm realizing I'm in the midst of it, just learning a lot about the way that I communicate. And I had a fantastic buddy call. We had to do it at the end of the week as opposed to earlier, so I didn't catch up actually with my buddy from the last week, but I did have a call on Friday that was just fantastic. That's all I have. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Garan?
Hi, hello. Now I could make the call with Larry today, and we have a nice conversation about empathy and different topics related to it. I couldn't practice with a group, but well, at least I did this body part, this body experience, and yeah, now I was reading also what we're going to do today, and I'm really expecting to see how it's going to go the session of today.
Thank you. Paula?
Missed last week's session because I was in a training, and Sally kindly called me or got in touch with me to see if I could do a session, and I thought that was really, really kind. I also had Beata reach out to me because she was my last week's call, and unfortunately I had a lot of I had a training that went really long, and my daughter was quite sick. So it made me realize, like, sometimes like I'm giving everything I can, but even with my best effort, I won't be able to meet some of the commitments, unfortunately, even if it's my best intention. So I apologize for not being able to provide that last week.
Thank you. Anastasia?
I didn't have the body call, what to call this body call this week. It is challenging for us to schedule a call because of the different zone time. But we will schedule a call for tomorrow.
Cool. Sally?
Hi, yeah, last week I was kind of recovering from some illness situations and also real busy all the time. And so my buddy call, we kind of rescheduled it for this week to make up for last week.
Do we have time for the trainees and the trainers?
We do. We have a lot of time.
Okie dokie. I'll start with the trainees first. Wendy?
Thank you. Yeah, had a wonderful empathy circle on Wednesday, the European Empathy Circle, and that Dwayne and Gabby and Katie run. And it's always just very helpful in terms of understanding how I really think about whatever the topic is. It really can go quite deep, and a great buddy call. Thank you very much, Bill. I had lots of questions answered, and it felt a beneficial use of time. So thank you.
Thank you. DJ?
Yeah, I had a great buddy call with Celine. It was just sort of this wonderful way of beingness and kind of like totally coming together in our intersubjectivity. It was really nice. And I missed, unfortunately, my second call with Anne. And I'm so, sad about that, Anne, because the previous week I'd had this amazing buddy call with you and getting to know you and how lucky I am that I've had two amazing buddy calls with two amazing human beings. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Dwayne?
Yes. First thing I would like is just a quick comment about the empathy circles and the empathy circle facilitation trainings. One of the things I really enjoy about this process is learning from the people who participate. We always have a really interesting experience because people bring so many different skills into the process. And so that's one of the things I enjoy learning from the people who are participating in the process. The second thing is I had two really enjoyable buddy calls, one in the beginning of the week where Lou modeled the perfect behavior. He immediately reached out and connected with me to schedule the call, and I'm going to use his model moving forward. We had a really enjoyable call. And then at the end of the week, I had a makeup call with Ina, and it was also a really enjoyable experience. So I'm energized from both those calls and looking forward to participating today in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. I'm gonna go next because I'm gonna do the trainers next. I had a great buddy call with Kelly on Saturday. Saturday is my Sabbath day, and I generally don't do anything on that day. But I don't think God reminded I have a buddy call. So I did it with her on Saturday. It was a great buddy call. It was interesting to learn that she's about to start working at a school and wants to use this process with the students she's going to be interacting with in the middle school. So I'm excited for her about that. And echo what Dwayne said, it is great just learning all the different ways that people are going to be implementing this process, not just in their personal lives, but in their professional lives. Like it's giving you so many different ways. So I love hearing about the different ways people utilize it. I'm going to call on Linda next.
It's been a good week. Had a great buddy call. I'm going to thank my buddy Jay for reminding me. We had set the time and it was on a Saturday, which I don't do anything on Saturday just because I don't do anything. And so, you know, she called me or contacted me, but we had a great buddy call. And it's just good to get to know the people, you know, in the group. And when you do the buddy call or, you know, conduct or participate in the buddy call, it's a good way to get to know people. So all is good. I have to say though, I was listening to one of my favorite shows, MSNBC, because I'm a political junkie. And this morning they have this little casual time when they're introducing someone. And it was about 4 of them on, and they were all talking, laughing and talking and joking about something. And it was truly everybody talking and laughing over each other. And all I could think is they could use the empathy circle. You know? It's a part of me now. I'm done talking.
You guys can hear me, just shake your heads, yes. They can't hear me either. Okay.
Yeah, we're not
hearing
hearing
you
you.
now.
We can hear you.
Now we hear you.
We hear you. Antonio?
Can you hear us, Antonio?
Antonio, no. Hey. Hey.
Well, should we just go
Yeah,
ahead?
while she's working that, you
Now I
want to
can
go?
hear you.
Lou?
Okay. All right.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have a diabetic sensor, and every time it beeps, it knocks my audio out. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. Larry.
Thank you, Altonia. I had an amazing buddy call with Garan, just really amazing. And I would sum it up with a Rumi quote: beyond our ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there's a field, and I'll meet you there.
Yes.
Really beautiful buddy call. Thank you so much.
You're always so poetic, Larry. Celine.
Well, we all had some great buddy calls. Mine was life-changing, really. I had a wonderful call with DJ, and also I haven't done any circles, but I've been learning how to do kind of stealth empathy circle listening kind, so that I don't get so much reactivity.
Yeah.
And so far it's working. I'll keep you updated. Thank you. I'm here.
Thank you, Celine. Lou.
Yeah, I had a wonderful buddy call this week with Dwayne. Dwayne's been around for a while, so we know each other well, but it was still great to connect and to have a great conversation about listening, and empathy circle facilitation was really rich. And then I've been holding empathy circles with political folks from, different mixed, red-leaning people and blue-leaning people. And that's been interesting. It's been good to see people saying that it's really different and that they're listening, they're learning to listen more. And it's also interesting to see some people objecting to that it's too slow, and that they want to question each other, and me trying to explain the benefits of
it being slow. And yes, you can ask questions if you want. When it's your turn to speak, you can ask a question. It's just not going to get, the person that's asked of will decide whether to answer it, and the answer will come later. And people are frustrated by that. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm in a process of seeing whether the people who are kind of objecting will eventually decide that they like the process and they're getting a lot out of it, or if they want to do something different. And I'm explaining that to you, I'm realizing that one of the strategies I've used in the past when there's strong objection and it's continued is I say, okay, well, let's do it your way for a little bit. And then I allow that to happen for a while, and the normal dynamics show up of people starting to argue with each other, whatever, and then calling attention to that and saying, so I've noticed this is happening now. How are people feeling? And this is why we have the other process. So sometimes it's good to let people do what they're asking so that they can see that it's different, so they can experience the difference.
Cool beans. Great suggestion too. Bill?
Yeah. So I had a great buddy call with Wendy. I'm also I'm working on an empathy game for those interested in empathy in schools. In about a month or a month and a half, it should be absolutely ready to go. I'm going to release it on the Creative Commons. It uses Viola Spolin's theater games and is adaptable. And also for Ina, I'll put a couple of links in. I have a Thursday session, Ina. You can tend or not, but in my email there, if you have any questions, because it's going to be a challenge to take a 2 hour kind of process that we do here and adapt it. So I've kind of have some ideas about that. If that would be helpful for you, then please do it. I'll also put a link to a Google Doc that I have that talks about the research on social emotional learning, how oral language supports reading and writing, and the research on that and why it's effective and why the empathy circle is effective. So that's just a Google Doc that you could look at your own time. And so I'm happy and ready for a new year of empathy. Thanks.
Ian?
Yeah, unfortunately, my buddy calls, I should have had 2 this week. They didn't work out, either of them. So I'm looking forward, hopefully, to having a buddy call with Anastasia. But I did do an empathy circle this week, which was interesting. We were exploring how rhythm and our senses are involved in our regenerative practices. So that was an interesting exploration, and lovely to see people coming along and really feeling the benefits of the process very quickly. So that was a good experience. Thank you.
And last but not least, Edwin.
Yeah. I've been working with a group on LinkedIn that is for conflict transformation and peace building. And on Saturday, the 19th, November 19th, we're going to have a intro cafe on empathy and conflict. So I hope you can all come to that. It's part of our regular intro cafe. And if you come, you can, and we need facilitators, you can help facilitate and get some experience with facilitation. And also we have a study of the empathy circle that we're working on with the University of Wisconsin at Green Bay and Antioch University in Connecticut. So it's going to be an actual academic study of the empathy circle, comparing the effectiveness to just a regular group without any structure. And so we'll be opening that up to participants as well in the new year. So I hope some of you might take part in that too. So that's it. Yeah, thanks.
That sounds exciting. That right there sounds very exciting. Okay. Did I forget anyone? Did I miss anyone?
I think Linda has a question.
I don't have a question. I have a promotion. I'm promoting Edwin's video that's on that email he sent out this week, and it talks about challenges. And if you look at it, he had the empathy 10 out there, and it was an extreme challenge going on. But he got through it. He went through it. And I was thinking I would have packed up my 10 and went home. So I don't think anybody will ever experience what he experienced out there. So if you're interested in what a real challenge is, I suggest you look at it. That's all.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it over now to Lou and Bill.
Thanks, Altonia.
Give you some feedback.
Thanks, Altonia. Yeah, so now the section of the session where we, Bill and I answer questions that were posted in the feedback forms that people filled out after the last session. And we're just going to alternate answering them. So Bill, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Go ahead, Lou.
Okay. So the first question was, so I know you say to practice facilitating our own circles with others, but we're not supposed to have, are we not supposed to have an official empathy circle without being a certified facilitator? So the first part of this answer is, so this course does not certify you. The certificates you get at the end of this course is a certificate of completion, not a certificate of competence. So it's not as though we're certifying you and saying you are a certified trainer. We're just saying that you completed the course. And the second answer to the question is, you don't have to have any kind of a certification to run an empathy circle. You're taking this course so that you could be more successful at facilitating empathy circles, but anyone is welcome to facilitate an empathy circle, to try it, and and there's a lot of support materials to help you do that, the how-to and the other things that are on the website. And if you've participated in a few circles, you have a sense of how it goes, and you can try running one. And will you have success at it? You'll see. You'll learn as you go. And the reason we suggest you facilitate a circle is because the things that you're learning in this training will have a lot more meaning if you are also trying to facilitate circles on the side. If you dip your toe in that water, you're going to bring more to the learning that happens here. So, yeah. So go, Bill, you can go next. Or if you have anything to add to what I said about that question.
No, that's fine. So I have here, I think, two questions sort of. Does it count as an empathy circle if it's just two people? Well, that's what we call a buddy call, and yes, it does. And the dynamics are different if there are more people. You might go for a shorter time or things like that. But yes, it does count. What we're doing is we're practicing our reflective listening and our perception and just building those skills. So, and then if it's okay with you, Lou, I'll just take that next one.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
So how to balance the needs of people who specifically choose to have their camera off throughout a circle. So for the purposes of this training, if you're going to be a trainee, you need to have a camera because there are certain things you need to do as far as teaching people that you need a camera for. But for some people, like, they're nervous about the internet or they've been off. I've actually had one person who would only talk to us through the chat, and that was at a cafe. And so what you try to do is to meet people where they are, encourage them to come forward, and to do the best you can to listen to them. And that effort itself, I think, gives an implicit message that's important. Thanks.
Yeah, and I would say, and I would just add to that, that if someone in the circle complains that somebody doesn't have their camera on and that they don't feel connected if the person's camera isn't on, I would give them some empathy for that, listen to their difficulty, and then say, yeah, but it's each person's choice about whether they do that or not. So Okay, the next question is, let's see. Let's see. I lost the. Okay. What will it? Okay. What will it be like to facilitate a course with people who have no idea how to listen properly? Okay, and by a course, I assume you mean this training or running a circle with people who don't know how to listen properly. So, the answer to this is the empathy circle. Actually, the structure of it helps people learn to listen. Now, it doesn't, it's not perfect, and people are not going to listen immediately, but the instructions that we give to the reflector, which are just reflect back what you hear the person saying, and that you don't want to ask questions, make comments, agree or disagree, bring in your own experience, any of those things, which happen often in normal conversation. Those guardrails are training in good listening. If you're not doing those things, that's one step towards good listening. And if you're able to reflect back what you hear the person saying, that's another step in good listening. Now, you may get people who can't reflect back what they heard the person say. And that's where the facilitator helps with the reflection, if the listener can't do it, or if they're missing big parts of it or something like that. The other thing you can do is you can ask the speaker to speak in smaller chunks. If the listener is having trouble holding on to what the speaker is saying, then you can ask the speaker to speak in smaller chunks. Sometimes that helps. Do you have anything you want to? Dwayne, do you want to add something?
There it is. I would also, if I were the facilitator who was coming in to do that, and that was my perception, I would also make sure that my perception is grounded in reality, and to make sure it's not my bias or I'm prejudging the way other people are communicating. So, I think that would also be important. I want to make sure that, understanding that's my perception, it may or may not be true once the process is started.
Okay. Yeah, and what I'm taking for what Dwayne says is, as a facilitator, you always want to pay attention to how the speaker is responding to the listener. So I might have a judgment that, oh, that reflection wasn't very good or it wasn't accurate, but you got to see how the speaker hears it. If the speaker seems to be okay with it and seems to be heard by it, then that's fine. It's really when the speaker is not feeling heard that you want to consider doing something as a facilitator. Bill?
Sure. What to do if someone says they don't feel safe in the circle? Again, there are two questions here. We say that it feels like a safe space. We kind of coined the term, or Marta did, brave space, because we don't really have control over what anybody might say. And that's a very good, I think, feature. And if, somebody said something like, Lou or Edwin would say, you give them a little empathy for that. You kind of listen, hear what are their concerns, see how you might adapt things. Like, for instance, the example I gave before is there was a woman who was very nervous and shy about having her camera on or even talking. And so we kind of got her into the chat. Now, by the end of the empathy circle, she was talking. She didn't put the camera on, but she was talking. So you just try to kind of bring someone along, make them feel heard, and see where that lands as far as their safety meter is concerned. And what is this says, I think it's the active listening is, what if this facilitator isn't able to fully reflect the speaker? Then who steps in? Well, the facilitator, I think they meant the active listener, because then the facilitator would step in a breakout room. So if you feel that if the speaker is not being heard, you might step in and role model, what a reflection might be like. One of the things that I say sometimes when I remember to is that if I correct you, if I'm facilitator, if I correct you, it's not a criticism of you or your ideas, but just to keep us in the process. And that's good to keep things kind of neutral and not, get into a power struggle. Lou?
The last question is what to do about someone who's in the role of the active listener and they regularly put their own take on what the speaker says, adding their own interpretation of the speaker's words, even when the speaker repeatedly tries to correct the wording. So this actually is one of the kind of challenges that you might have an opportunity to respond to in your practice today, in breakout sessions. So you'll get a chance to try that. But the one comment I would make about this is, well, different speakers respond differently to the amount of their own words that they want used. So some people really want to hear the words that they used reflected back to them. Other people don't like that. Other people feel like that's just parroting and like you're not really understanding me. And so there isn't a strict rule about it. I usually use at least some of the words that the speaker has said so that they know that I'm hearing their words. And then I'm watching if they're enjoying the reflection, if they feel heard by it, then I continue to do that. If they object that I left a particular word out, then that tells me, okay, these words are very important to them. And so I really try to use more of the words that they have used because that's what makes them feel heard. Yeah, and then the only other thing I'd say is that, if a listener is repeatedly saying something very different than the speaker and the speaker is not feeling heard, then you do want to intervene as a facilitator and say, so you're using different words, or that's actually, you're saying this and that's not actually what the speaker said. Could you reflect back what the speaker said? And then if they can't do that or they don't know, you have the speaker repeat what they said so the speaker could, the reflector can try to reflect it back, and they still can't. That's when you might intervene as a facilitator and provide some of the reflection so that the speaker feels heard. Okay, I think that's it. And so we're turning it over to whoever's introducing the breakout circles. I don't know who that is. Dwayne, okay, go ahead.
Technical. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna be introducing the breakout room process for today. The context is that you're facilitating an empathy circle with people who are not familiar with the practice. If you're feeling ready for it, you can have some facilitation challenges during your turn to facilitate, and you have the option. You can choose low or a medium, or you can choose not to have any challenges at all. We're going to begin with participant 1 is going to facilitate a mini empathy circle. Each participant's going to have approximately 20 minutes, but I think because there's only 2 participants in each group, you may have you're going to have half the time today. And you're going to be asked whether you'd like a challenge level, which challenge level you'd like. And again, you can say none, low, or medium. And I'll put the outline in how the process works. You're going to have about 3 minutes to introduce the practice. You're going to pick a topic. The topic for the circle is, what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator? And you're going to set the time. The suggested time is 3 minutes, but if it's only a few people in the group, you might adjust that to 4 minutes. And again, the facilitator is going to be the first listener. I put the updated how-to in the chat already. And then we're going to end with about a 5-minute debrief where we're going to provide, we'll ask the question of how it felt to facilitate the group, and then all the participants will be able to provide feedback. And the question that will be addressed during the debrief is, how did the challenges affect your experience of facilitating? And then the process will be repeated. And so that's all for me. And let's see, who is handling the...
Lou's got a
I'll do
question.
the breakout room, but Lou's got a question.
And I just want to add a word to what Dwayne said, which is about the benefits of offering the challenges. So the reason we do this is because if you just have a regular empathy circle where nobody deviates from the process, there actually isn't a lot for the facilitator to do other than keep time and give time signals and ask people to pick another listener. And when you have empathy circles outside of this class, you will have situations where people don't hear each other, or they object to the process, or something like that, something a little disruptive. And so we wanted to give you an opportunity, if you're feeling ready, and don't do this if you're not feeling ready, but if you're feeling ready, to give you the opportunity to experience that and figure out how to respond to it, rather than facing that the first time you do a circle outside of the class. That's why we offer this.
Yes, I'll tell you.
Yes. So they'll be the time is gonna be broken in half. So that's around about 30 minutes, is it?
It's almost 40 minutes. We have oh yeah, it'll be, you have to take whatever time to the top of the hour. So we have an hour and 20 minutes. No, yeah. Which time is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you divide that by in half. There's be two participants in each room. So DJ, your room will have 2 participants, so you won't need to do the circle as we talked about before.
And one last reminder. Oh, yes, Paula.
You're muted there.
We break out into groups. I'm really sorry. I've been feeling under the weather and I thought I could rally, but I'm gonna have to step out. I really wanted to be part of the circle today. I'm really sorry. I've had a sick child for the past few days, and I think I might have gotten something. Yeah, I apologize, and I hope to catch you again next week. I'm sorry.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
Hope you feel better.
Take care, Paula.
And one last, oh, Linda, did you have something?
Me?
No, oh, okay. And as a reminder for all the participants, so the facilitation learning process is ongoing. No matter how many times I've facilitated, I'm still learning every time I facilitate. So the important thing is to relax and enjoy the experience. And so now I'll turn it over to Edwin.
Yep. Okay, so let's just see here. I'm going to shift things around a little bit because we have one room. So your room, Wendy, will have just 1 participant. So if you want to do the how-to, so you split time in half, and I'll be in your room. And I want to be sure we have enough people in each room. I think we're all set. Yeah, so there should be, in the other rooms, there'll be 2 participants. So you just divide the time in half, and I think everybody's all set. So I'll send a 10-minute warning just before we come back in, which is going to be in an hour and 20 minutes, I think. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Opening the rooms. And did I quit? I think that worked. Okay, there we go. Okay, you're muted, Wendy.
Welcome, Beata, Selena, Edwin, to this breakout room, and Beata as the main participant. I hope that you have understood the process of what we're asking you to do today. And the idea is for you to do the how-to And could we ask if you would like any challenges when you are facilitating the empathy circle?
Yes, I would like a challenge. Let's go for the low one.
Thank you so much. It will be Celine who will be offering you the challenges, although you never know. I'm very new to this, so I might very well be offering you challenges without even realizing it. So do you feel ready to go, to proceed, to start, Beata?
Yes, I feel ready.
Okay, and I just to check, you're okay to keep the time and do all the parts of the role of the?
Oh, sorry, just checking. Larry, did you need something?
I need to go to the other room. I was in the wrong room. I need to be in the with Jay. I think it is Jay and Alexander.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Apologies for the interruption.
Oh, no, I think I'm all messed up here. Sorry, folks. Linda.
Jay and Anastasia, I think it was, and Altonia.
Oh, that's Anne and Bill is there. So.
Oh, okay. So we changed that.
Yeah, I think, what room were you in, Larry? Where?
I was just in a room with Linda.
Oh, I kind of messed that up. Are you okay with doing that?
Yeah, I'm fine with anything.
Okay, yeah, I had put wrong people in the room. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
I don't know how to get you back.
We got some challenges already.
Are you able to get back there? I don't know how to send
I
you
don't know.
back.
I don't know.
Larry, if you go down to the bottom of your screen,
Yeah.
you're a host, so you could see breakout rooms, and does it allow you to join?
Oh, that's it. If you open the breakout room.
See where it says more. Breakout rooms 3. All right, which one do I go to?
You're going to 4.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Apologies for the interruption. Have lots of fun. Thank you. So
good luck.
I am gonna move you. That's right.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
moved to 3. Yeah, you're supposed to be there. You're right. Okay. I hopefully now you just, if you join room 3. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. All the technical stuff. Sorry to interrupt, folks, but this is the sort of the weight room, and this is where the problem stuff comes through, the issues like that. So take it away.
So welcome everyone in Empathy Circle. It's really nice to see you. And I will explain to you how we're going to do Empathy Circle today. So in Empathy Circle, we have 3 roles, actually it's 4. One of them is Facilitator, which means I'm in that role today. And I'm just opening the circle. I explain how we do it. And I also will keep eye on time. So you don't have to worry about time. So the next role is the role of the speaker. Then we have active listener and we have silent listener. So the speaker is someone who speaks whatever is alive or on a topic that was chosen for today, which is what challenges we're facing in Empathy Circle. And a speaker choose active listener. Active listener is someone who listens and reflects back to the speaker satisfaction. So when the speaker is speaking, it's very, very important to do pauses so the active listener can reflect back with ease. And I also mentioned the third role, which is a silent listener. So it's someone who doesn't really listen actively, but also participate in a circle by listening. Each of us will take a role, certain role, and these roles will be rotating within circle several times. So each of us will be taking the role of speaker, active listener, and silent listener. And if that was clear, then we can just start our circle. So I will be first active listener. Who would like to be first speaker?
I'll speak.
Okay, so sorry, I didn't mention how many minutes we're giving. Would that be 5 minutes or 4? 4 minutes. Okay. Are you ready, Selena?
Mhm. So in talking about the challenges, or I want to say my opinion about them. I think it's very valuable to practice so that when we are out on our own doing the circles, we're not surprised by things that happen. I like thinking of them as interruptions or distractions more than challenges, because I think that's what they are. And what else was I going to say? So I'll pause there.
So what you're saying is that challenges, when we practice challenges in Empathy Circle, they are valuable, and you don't call them challenges, you call them distraction or interruptions.
Mm-hmm. And for me, the process of learning to facilitate circles anywhere is a little bit like when I was learning to drive. And it's, there was so much going on that I wasn't sure what I had to focus on. And something like a strange sound in the car, or another car coming too close, for example, became big challenges.
Mm-hmm. So you're comparing the experience of practicing challenges in Empathy Circle to like driving a car. When you were driving a car, that initially it was challenging and there was many interruptions. You didn't know what to focus on, and things like even a sound by the car passing by could be a challenging.
Yes. And I came to think that a good driver could get in pretty much any car and drive safely. And with empathy circles, I would like to think that a good facilitator can handle most challenges.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that your understanding of a good driver was that someone who just sits into the car and drives well. However, may not be like that. So it's the same with Empathy Circle Facilitator, that I think I lost a little bit here. I know what you said, but let me just.
It's okay. I'll just finish up with one more thing. I think another word for challenges could be surprises. And that is what happens driving a car or facilitating a circle. If there's a surprise, I want to be able to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. So another name for a challenge could be a surprise. So when you face the surprise, you want to be able to deal with it.
Yes. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you, Selena. Okay. Edwin, will you listen to me?
Sure.
Oh, so I am not feeling grounded today. And I came to Empathy Circle today feeling that I just want to relax. I actually didn't think that I would be in a role of facilitating.
Yeah, you're not really feeling grounded today. And you said, oh, you're just kind of wanting to relax. And you didn't think I'm going to come to this group today and have to facilitate.
And I remember speaking to myself yesterday about how great it is to take life how it is.
Yeah, you're just thinking yesterday, like, oh, I'll just take life as it is, go with the flow. I guess that means, yeah.
Yeah. However, today I had this complainer like, oh no, but I don't really want to do this, or why this is happening, feeling the resistance. And that memory, what I said, what I kind of contemplated yesterday was like, well, there you go. You have that life challenge now.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, go with the flow, but now you have this life challenge. It's like you have to go with this flow.
Mm-hmm. But there was also this complainer, like how funny that is that, you know, I was thinking with easiness, just like, of course, I accept what life gives. And then life gives something what I not necessarily want. But that's the most perfect situation.
Yeah, so life can give you something you don't really want, and it's like you just want it easy right now, but you got some little bit of a challenge, some responsibility with doing facilitating. So you're kind of having to go with that, but you don't want to. Yeah.
So it is good to notice that even that a bit of resistance or a little complainer in me is present. There is also like a life force that says, I just go for it. You don't think a lot, just go for it. That's it.
So you're kind of split on one side. One part, it's like something saying, "Oh, I don't want to do this," but then the other is like, "Just go for it and don't complain. Move forward."
Mm-hmm. And that energy is really interesting, very useful. And I more and more trust these days when I feel that force rather than that complainer, something's not wrong, something would wants to withdraw, which, yeah, I'm pleased about it.
Yeah, you're pleased about that feeling of just go with it, go forward with it instead of withdraw, go with the complaints and withdraw. So you're feeling positive about that going forward.
And still having sense that things are not perfect right now. I am a little bit messy, and things might be very imperfect, and it's just out of control, and that's okay.
Yeah, things might not be perfect. It might be out of control, but you're moving forward, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Thank you, Edwin.
Okay, thanks, Wendy.
Yes.
Yeah, I can really identify with that feeling. Like, there's things aren't right. You don't feel settled. You don't feel grounded, but, you just kind of go forward anyway. So I can really get a sense of that.
So you're identifying with what Beata was saying about not necessarily feeling grounded, but needing to just go with the flow.
Yeah, and sometimes like I'm in a workshop or something and they give instructions. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, right? There's some confusion. And then I just say, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do whatever is fun for me, so I just go with what I enjoy. So, yeah.
So you're sharing that there are some times in workshops when you don't always understand the instructions, but you just think, well, okay, I'm just going to go with the flow and do what's enjoyable for yourself.
Yeah. So, and that usually works pretty well for me. I don't get all wound up about it. So I was in a workshop once where somebody was, really kind of falling apart because they didn't know what the instruction, didn't understand the instructions. I didn't understand the instructions either, but I said, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do what I like to do.
So you were in a workshop once where somebody who didn't understand the instructions in the same way that you hadn't understood them, but they were getting quite agitated and upset by it. For you, you're quite happy to just go with the flow.
And what actually this workshop was very interesting is this person, what happened is when he had actually asked the instructor for instructions, like, what do we do here? And the more the instructor tried to explain it, the more confusing it became. It was like, and I didn't understand it either. And it was like, oh, that's okay. I don't understand it. But it was like really upsetting this person.
So even though this particular person in this workshop kept asking the trainer for clarification, the more the trainer tried to explain, almost the more confusing it got. And for this other person, that was really quite a challenge. For you, it was, you just rolled with it.
Yeah, and what I did with that, we were supposed to do a little project, and I said, oh, I'm just going to listen to him. So I started reflecting. I said, oh, so I'm hearing you really don't understand what we're supposed to do, and you're feeling frustrated. I said, yeah, right. I'm ready to leave here. This is not my people. These are progressives, and they're not really my group. And then I said, oh, so these are, I just reflected. I did empathic listening with him. And I took notes on little Post-its on all the feelings he was having and his frustrations.
So neither of you kind of really understood the project that you were supposed to be working on. So you decided to utilize your skills of empathetic listening, and you reflected back to this person who was increasingly frustrated, and you made notes of the various feelings of incredible frustration that this colleague, this person was expressing.
And I took those Post-its and I built a tree out of them. I call it the tree of empathy, and I just listened to him for the whole time and created this tree of all these different feelings he was having and the needs he was having. And then at the end, we went around to debrief, and he just was so eloquent in his debrief, saying this was amazing, this was just wonderful, this was incredible. And I'll just finish off. And then everybody said, Edwin, what did you do? And I said, I just listened to him. And it's like, it changed the whole tone of the whole workshop because of this experience.
So you made all these Post-its and made a tree out of them, the tree of empathy, and you shared it with this person who was just really quite blown away by what you had done, and that feeling of being listened to. And at the debrief at the end, this particular person was very, very eloquent about how much they'd enjoyed that process. And of course, various people said, what did you do? What did you do? And you just said, you listened.
Yeah, I feel very listened to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just, Beata, would you be my listener, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So the question that I would like to talk about is what are my thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator?
So you would like to reflect on the question, what the challenges for the facilitator of empathy circle?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't actually use the word challenges, but yeah, my thoughts and concerns. I suppose concerns are challenges. I'm intrigued by Celine's different use of different words instead of challenges. So yeah, one of the concerns I have is about not just reflecting back, but actually summarizing in such a way that the empathy is more the speaker feels the empathy.
Mhm. So you're referring to the challenge as a concern, and one of your concern is how to reflect back that summarize summarize well as well expresses empathy for the speaker.
Yeah. So it comes up a lot, that just that idea, well, just reflecting back, why is that empathy particularly? And yet, the slower I become, the way the process slows me down, there are occasions when, yes, it does feel like empathy. And then there are other times when it's just somebody reflecting the same words that I used.
Mm-hmm. So you reflecting on the difference that sometimes the reflection could be like a reach of empathy, and sometimes feels like it's more neutral, like it's just basically repeating what someone said.
And I suppose another thought is the way sometimes I can, recall exactly what the person has said and reflect it back clearly in an empathetic way, hopefully. Then other times there'll be like a little, I don't know, a couple of sentences that they feel like they're in there, and then I can't get them. It's like, oh, where did they go? And just so there can be some lack of memory type challenges.
And so you're saying about that sometimes that reflecting back feels so much at ease and flow, and sometimes feels like that there is, like, you absorbed the information, but something's happened in that moment that maybe it's difficult to reflect back exactly what someone said.
Yeah, yes, it's often just one or two sentences, and it kind of feels like they're there, and then in my mind, and it's really hard to pull them back. Thank you.
And sometimes that could be just two sentences that they somewhere within your system, but it's like difficult to voice them.
Thank you, Beata. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. Celine, will you listen to me?
Yes.
So the challenge of being an empathy circle facilitator, similar to what Wendy was saying, that sometimes I feel in my flow and so present, and sometimes feels a bit sketchy, like something is not fully in a flow with that process.
So you're reflecting what Wendy said, that you also experience it. Sometimes you're in the flow and it's easy, and then other times it's sketchy and you just aren't either remembering or able to articulate what it was that you heard.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it's something to do with presence, because like right now I feel a little bit distracted, and I also don't know why. which affects actually my ability to facilitate.
So you're wondering if this has to do with the quality of presence, because, for example, right now you're feeling yourself a little bit distracted, and you're wondering how that affects your facilitation.
Mm-hmm. And I think, again, I took seriously the role that if I'm facilitator, I'm supposed to do this well. And I may not. So maybe I think that's what gives the tension.
So you have taken on the idea that if you're going to be the facilitator, you must do it well. And when you see yourself not doing it as well as you would like, it creates some stress, some tension for you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give myself permission to relax a little bit.
So you're going to give yourself permission to relax a little bit.
And just when I feel that I'm allowing my muscles to relax, gives that really nice, pleasant feelings that put me at ease.
So when you allow your muscles, your body to relax, it gives you some very lovely, pleasant feelings.
Mm-hmm. And there is also sense, or maybe intention, let's just trust this process.
And there's a part of you that's saying, let's just relax and trust the process. You know, Beata, I think you're doing a great job, and you don't need to judge yourself. You have just a natural ability to do this. So I think you can just enjoy it.
Thank you, Selene.
And just one comment about the role of the active listener. Just a reminder to us all that the active listener ideally is not making comments, or they're just literally reflecting back.
Oh, I was just wanting to be helpful, because really, I think Beata is excellent, you know.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Thank you, Selene.
Selene, so you become speaker now.
Wendy, would you listen to me?
Yes, Selene, thank you very much.
I think one of the really important pieces in the empathy circles that I want to always be remembering is how satisfying it is to be heard. I'll pause there.
Thank you, Selene. You're sharing how one of the most important things for you with the empathy circle process is that how very, very satisfying it is to feel heard.
Yes, and I think because of that, a lot can happen that might seem like it's not exactly what should be happening, or you know, that there are mistakes being made or whatever. However, when people are satisfied that they have been heard, it makes such a huge difference, and they're happy. Doesn't matter what else has happened.
So this sense of satisfaction that you get from being deeply listened to is just so powerful. And sometimes mistakes are made, and sometimes things aren't done in the way perhaps they should be, but that is nothing in comparison to the satisfaction of being heard.
Yes, and I have facilitated a circle between people with very opposing opinions, and everybody was nervous about what is going to happen. I'll pause there.
You've had the opportunity to facilitate various empathy circles with people who had very opposing opinions, and people were really quite nervous about what was going to be happening.
And once each person felt really heard, they relaxed, and there was no more tension and no difficulties for anybody. And everybody kind of relaxed.
So once the empathy circle process was done, and people felt very listened to, they just relaxed. Everybody just completely relaxed once they've been listened to.
Yes. Thank you. I feel fully heard, Wendy.
Thank you, Celine. Beata, would you be my listener?
Yes, I will.
So some of the challenges that are enumerated on the website for the list of challenges I've experienced in the various empathy circles that I've taken part in.
So you experience various challenges that are listed on the Empathy Circle website.
So because it's a drop-in empathy circle, and we never know who's going to be there every Wednesday, and there have been people who know nothing. Well, mostly people who come know nothing about the process.
Mm-hmm. So it's a drop-in group where new people come and they don't know much about the process.
So there have been various people who say, you know, oh, I don't like this. I want to be able to comment. Can't we just talk normally? And yeah.
So people express a bit of frustration, saying, well, why can we just not talk normally?
Yeah, and they, it looks like Larry's back. No. Oh, it's gone again. Sorry. Yes, so some people have, you know, decided to leave the call very few times, but, you know, when they've been asked to be the listener, when it was their turn, and they wanted to engage in conversation rather than reflecting back. And after a couple of times of that, and the speaker actually saying, you know, and then the facilitator trying to help them learn the role. And then I think it's happened twice in the last 3 or 4 months, 3 months, that somebody said, well, actually, you know, this isn't for me. I don't like not being able to comment.
So some people can drop the call because they feel that space is not for them. They prefer to chat.
So what did you say to them when they said they didn't want to do this because they and they were going to leave? Yes.
Selena, so so when it would be good if you hold that question when it's your turn. So when you become speaker, then you can just voice that question.
Okay.
It's okay.
Thank you. So yeah, and one of the challenges I think is when there is somebody who doesn't know the process and they're obviously not really engaging with it, or if there's an interruption, you know, it's really easy to lose the flow of what the speaker might want to be speaking about.
So in a space like that, when people don't fully understand the process, engage with, that could be challenging, and to also for the speaker to voice what they want to say.
Yeah. Fortunately, oh, thank you. I'll leave it there. Beata, I feel listened to. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we should
Edwin.
do the debrief now, the 5-minute debrief.
Thank you. So Beata, how did it feel for you? What was
Today was so stressful. Again, I remember that training in August, the tension and the expectation that I put on myself. And again, feeling like I need to manage time. There's challenge. I need to reflect back. It was a little bit too much. It's different when I go to groups and I can just relax and I facilitate. But maybe because I don't experience that many challenges, then I don't. It's different. It's just different.
Well, thank you, Beata, for reflecting. And certainly from my side, I thought you did a wonderful job. Your energy was so gentle and reassuring. You made it really clear, you know, what the different roles were, and your authenticity. It was great. I think I tended to over facilitate, you know, when I interrupted Celine, because I thought that was a challenge, and it was like, I wasn't really sure. I probably shouldn't have done that. So I thought you handled the challenge beautifully that Celine gave. So thank you, Beata. Celine, do you want to?
Yeah. I really do feel that you have such a beautiful presence that it doesn't matter what you do, I'm going to like it. But anyway, in addition, I want to say that in the introduction, I liked how you mentioned that the roles rotate. People don't always say that. And I realized, oh, that's helpful. It's clear. And when you talked about the facilitator, I didn't hear it. If you said it, I didn't hear it. That the facilitator also has the role or the responsibility of holding the structure of the circle, and that the facilitator participates also. I think it's important to tell people because they don't, you know, they don't know. And yes, when Wendy, you said something about my interruption, I got confused. I thought, oh, maybe Wendy's facilitating and I've forgotten. So that's what happened to me then. And also, but then I thought, if you are correcting my interruption, I would have wanted more clarity to help me figure out what's going on. And I liked, Beata, when you said, if you hold that question, then you can ask it when it's your turn. I thought that was beautiful, And one of the things that I found because I end up doing a lot of these interruptions or challenges, is that I need a little empathy, because if I feel like I'm being corrected or that it's too harsh, then I will withdraw from my level of participation. So when you said that, hold that question, it was like you were honoring my question, even though it wasn't the wrong time. And that had a lot of meaning for me. So thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, the feedback, yeah, it's great feedback everybody's giving, very informative. The one thing I wanted to add is I have that same feeling of not being in the flow. My mind is really busy, and it creates a lot of kind of constriction and sort of disconnection. And Beata, what you did saying, well, I have this feeling I don't feel in the flow. It's the sharing of the disconnection actually builds connection. So it's like that. I do that too. If I'm feeling anxious, I say, oh, I'm feeling really anxious. And I just share it, and then I feel connection. People have heard me. So it's really good. I think it was very effective to just sharing where you were. I just worked really, really well for creating, mutual understanding and connection. And also, yeah, with Wendy, it was a little confusing. It was Beata. It was her job at that point when the first interruption to kind of correct Celine, but she kind of let it go. And what do you do there? That was a little confusing. I don't know if she might have I don't know what you would have done, Beata, at that point. It was the first interruption that Celine did, right? She she was not reflecting you, but just saying some of her own ideas. But I don't know if and then that's when Wendy jumped in. So
Yeah, I missed that. Later on, I was like, oh, I should reflect back what Celine said. And I was too late. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a little challenge was thrown in there. So,
but I just wonder if sometimes participant correct someone. Would that be something what is not welcome?
Yeah, you don't really want the participants all to do crosstalk like that. Especially this is a new group, and people not familiar with it. So you'd want to. I mean, you could have just let her go. You didn't have to correct anything. You could sometimes you just sort of let something go. And then it's sort of like Celine says, after everybody starts, you kind of get into it after a few rounds. It just sort of all works itself out. I don't know if I'm being clear. I feel like I'm not being real clear, but yeah, anyway.
So would it have been better for me not to have said anything?
I think it would have just held off, yeah, and just see if Beata, if she would have kind of corrected it. And she was the speaker too at that point, right? She was speaking, and the question is, did she feel heard, to her satisfaction? So I would have let it just go and see if she fixed it, unless it became a regular problem. But she is a facilitator, so she should have been able to address that. Yeah. Anyway, that's.
And there's sometimes the issue, and I was being a little sensitive to that, especially since Beata had come in saying I'm not 100% today and stuff, that these interruptions really break the feel of the circle. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to come in and ruin this wonderful circle that everybody's enjoying. So I have that hesitation sometimes, because I've done that.
Yes, no, thank you. I mean, I feel this is such a big learning experience, for me as well as for Beata. So thank you, Beata, for providing that opportunity so beautifully.
I thought actually, Wendy, that you were part of the challenge, that was that you were taking.
Well, yes, I did mention at the beginning that I probably would be inadvertently, but I suppose it's also because it felt like the time was going and I hadn't noticed any challenges. When I did it last time in the various groups, the challenges from the word go were there and quite a few, and I was like, oh, when are the challenges going to happen, so I was concerned about the time and how if there would be challenges.
Yes,
So
and it was because I didn't want to be dumping on Beata when she had come feeling a little bit less than perfect. So I did wait.
Do you want to go do a round, facilitate the circle now, Wendy? And if you want challenges, just since we're a small group, so.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Do you want me to do the how-to as well, or?
Yeah, do the how-to and facilitate the circle, and if you want challenges, none, low, medium, and Celine.
I'm happy to have medium challenges.
Okay.
I'm happy.
And you'll
welcome
do
everybody.
And Celine, you'll do the challenges.
Okay.
Be a bit more ruthless this time.
Okay. Love to.
Thank you. So welcome everybody. We've all agreed to have the next, is it 30 minutes we've got? Less than that actually. Probably
25.
20 minutes. We've all agreed to take part in this empathy circle, which is a very structured process that supports our dialogue based on active listening. So there are 4 roles in an empathy circle: the facilitator, the speaker, the active listener, and the silent listener. And 3 of those roles, the speaker, the active listener, and the silent listener, are rotated amongst all of the participants throughout each empathy circle. And the more about those 4 roles, the facilitator initiates and oversees the empathy circle process, keeps the participants on track and on time. And the facilitator will hold up a sign, something like this, to say that the time is up, and requests the speaker to slow down or to pause. And for this empathy circle, I'll take the role of facilitator. And when you are the speaker, you're invited to share whatever you want to about the question, the focus, which is in the chat. What are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator, or whatever is on top for you? And the speaker has an agreed amount of time to speak. In this circle, it'll be 4 minutes. And you remember to try and speak slowly and give pauses for the active listener to reflect back what they hear when your time is up. And when you feel done, you can say something like, I feel fully heard. But and that the speaker selects their active listener, and the active listener becomes the next speaker. If you feel your active listener missed something, or you don't feel heard, you can repeat the point until you feel heard. When you're the active listener, you reflect back the essence of what you're hearing, so the speaker feels heard. So it's not a dialogue. You don't interrupt, you don't give your opinion, you don't comment, you don't ask questions, you don't judge, you don't analyze, you don't advise or sympathize. So if there's anything you do want to say to what you have reflected back, you say that until you're the speaker. So when you're the silent listener, you listen and you're present to the exchange between the speaker and the active listener. And you might want to improve your listening skills by mentally, silently practicing reflecting back what the speaker says. And you will have your turn to be the active listener and to speak. So do you have any questions? Thank you. So to model the active listening, I can be the first active listener or reflector. Would anybody like to be the speaker?
I'll speak then, since everybody's so shy in this group.
Thank you, Edwin.
Yeah, you had Wendy had sent out sent me an email with the script that you had created, written up, and I really appreciate the initiative of it. It's like, I'm going to take charge, I'm going to make up this script, I'm going to send it out. I really appreciate that sort of initiative when people just jump in and do something. So yeah.
You're reflecting that you received a script for the how-to, and you appreciate when people take initiative and do something.
Yeah, because we have that script, that 1-page PDF, and I think having a really good script that people could follow. We have some different versions of it, but we do need a better one, and I've been sort of working at it, and it's just something that we really need, I think, to make life a little easier for people, learning to facilitate.
So you're aware that you have the basic script of how to, which you have various versions
That's it.
Of it, and you appreciate that it might be helpful to have another version or other versions, and you've been working on this.
And appreciating you just taking the initiative and putting the script together that you sent me. Yeah.
You're appreciating the fact that I sent you a script.
And the other, I really like what you're trying to see how you reflect back better. And that's a big job. I mean, just how do we really listen to others and reflect back, and what is it in the state of my state of mind? And I think we need almost like a whole session just on how to really listen better. What is what's involved in just listening, more deeply.
So you're sharing that you appreciate the questioning about how to really genuinely reflect back, and you're wondering if actually we need more discussion on this, maybe a whole session on how to actually really listen and reflect.
Yeah, I was thinking we need maybe a whole training, like, module 2 or 3 of how to go deeper in the empathy circle. It's like, it depends on how people are speaking. If I speak very intellectually, it's going to be harder for you to kind of hear me and get in the flow of that.
Yeah, I've been wanting intimacy to when I participate in the circles, and so
that's what we're trying to get, is more intimacy, right?
That's why we want to be together at all.
Yeah, I think it's really about intimacy. That's what I'm trying to get at, is we need more intimacy in the circle. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just going to interrupt you both, Celine and Edwin. Thank you so much for your agreement with each other. It's wonderful to see that you both are, speaking from the same perspective. I really appreciate that. And I really invite you, Celine, when it's your turn to be the speaker, and to share more of what you think. Would that be okay, to wait until you're the speaker?
Oh, well, I'll try.
Thank you so much, Celine. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So, Edwin, yes, you were just reflecting back that you.
It's my time anyway, huh? Yeah.
I'll just reflect back. You say not just a more time on it. You're wondering about even maybe a whole another module, third module on how to go deeper with the active listening.
Yeah, exactly. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edwin. So it's now your turn to be the, oh no, it's not, it's my turn to be the speaker. Celine, would you please be my listener?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'll just, yes, I think there's so many modules that could be developed.
So you're laughing about the last interchange and saying there's so many versions and modules that could be developed.
Yeah, yes. And I can really appreciate how this is such a lifelong vision that Edwin and Celine and the various people who've been involved for a long time. This is a lifelong journey.
And you're appreciating the interest and commitment in this into a lifelong journey, vision.
Thank you. So then just returning to this idea of the challenges, the concerns of actually being a facilitator, the actual, thoughts, concerns about being, it's that idea of, speaking to the converted, or whatever the phrase is. It's like many of us who are on this training, and we're on the last training, already such incredibly wise, compassionate, empathetic people.
So as you're thinking about the challenges and concerns about being a facilitator, you're mentioning the empathy, the capacity of the listening and the empathy from the people who have been involved in these trainings and these circles.
Yes. So then I see, the news in whichever country, and I see so much lack of listening and lack of empathy, and it's how to influence in places where there isn't already some authentic presence.
And then when you see in the news so many examples of the lack of empathy and lack of understanding and communication, then you see the contrast and the value of the empathic listening.
And it makes me wonder, how the benefits of this relatively simple process can actually be brought to bear, in a more international, well, from both the local, the regional, the national level.
So then you wonder how the benefits of this practice and this attitude can be shared and spread in the world, so that more participate in this kind of listening and speaking.
Yeah, and I referring back to Beata's sharing of feeling, a bit frazzled or whatever. And I think if I'm just trying to imagine facilitating something like this with really strong opposing sides, I can imagine how frazzling it might be.
And as you're thinking of, even the challenge of facilitating when you don't feel up for perfect, you're imagining a bigger circle with a lot of contention and how difficult that would be to facilitate.
Thank you so much. I feel fully heard and invite you to become the speaker now.
Okay, thank you. Beata, will you please listen to me?
Yes, I will.
Well, I enjoy facilitating this, the circles, and especially when I'm feeling well rested and emotionally ready.
Mm. So you find enjoyment in facilitating empathy circles when you feel emotionally stable and rested.
Yes. And I enjoy the role of trainer also, and watching people over the 5 weeks of the course become more confident and more comfortable in being their authentic selves over the course of the 5 weeks.
And you're also enjoying the role of trainer. You love how people evolve during the 5 weeks, how they build their confidence and they feel more comfortable.
Yes. For me, this, with a background as an educator, this way of learning by doing is really wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So learning by doing seems to be powerful, and that is also comes from your experience as an educator.
Yes. Because I think it works. I see it work week by week. I see people who the first week were like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then by the third week going, well, I can do an empathy circle.
Mm. And you see that that learning, practicing, it really works because you have evidence seeing people after a few weeks, how different they actually acting.
Yeah. Have you noticed that also? Because you've been doing these circles for a little while. Have you noticed how that happens?
So you asking me question if I have noticed that as well.
Yes. Yes, have you?
And you're repeating again, have I noticed that?
I am. I want to know. I don't want to be the only one thinking these things.
And you're curious because you would like to know whether other people feel the same way.
Yes. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. Edwin, will you listen to me?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I think in this very moment, I feel glad that I don't have to hold responsibility of facilitator.
Yeah, right now you feel glad that you don't have the responsibility of being a facilitator.
And Wendy or Celine mentioned one of those challenging circles where there's a lot of people having opposing opinions. And just thinking about that was like, ooh, there was kind of like, oh, I'm not sure if I would like to do that.
Yeah, you're having a negative feeling about dealing with circles where people are just in conflict or having big different opinions and just feeling like turned off by it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very curious because I know you mentioned that you're planning also to produce this conflict resolution training. I feel like I would like to expand my skills in that as well.
Yeah, you're kind of turned off by that environment, but then on the other hand, you would like to expand your conflict media skills in a circle.
Mm-hmm. Because it feels like, okay, it's a simple formula. It's about listening to others. But it's also dealing sometimes with very forceful energy. And that requires practicing.
Yeah, it's the circle's about listening to people, but it's also about how to deal with very strong, forceful energies.
You know, Lou has taught this. I've been in one of his circles, and the way he breaks it down so that each person talks for 3 minutes and so on, it really keeps them kind of calm, even though there's disagreement. So if you can take one of his sometimes on Friday mornings.
Hey, it's my time to talk, Celine.
Well, why don't
how
you
come
tell
you're kind
them?
of butting in?
Well, you
I'm
could
getting
tell
really
them the
angry. I am really,
information.
really, really angry about this. You're always butting in on me.
Well,
I'm
you
really
don't
pissed
give the
off about it.
information that people need. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay, Celine and Edwin, thank you so very much for your opinions on this. And I just want to be aware that it is, you know, not your turn to actually speak at the moment, Celine. If it's okay to avoid interruptings, that will be really, really helpful. So if we could just continue, I'll add some extra time to your 4 minutes so that you're not missed out. And Celine, I hope that's okay to put your point of view about Lou's Friday session.
Sort of.
Thank you, Celine, for your patience with the process, which is a wonderfully effective process. So please do carry on. Yeah.
So conflict can put me in stress, and that reactiveness where I just want to move away from it.
Yeah, so when you see conflict, that just creates stress in you and you want to withdraw from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And I believe it doesn't have to be this way for me.
Yeah, so you're wanting to withdraw from it, but you're thinking, it doesn't have to be this way. You're seeing maybe there's another way of doing it.
Hmm. Oh, I got a little bit blank now, but I feel like I will stop here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, kind of going blank and you're just feeling like you'll stop here and you feel heard.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Edwin. I feel fully heard.
Okay, should we do the debrief now? We have about 10 minutes, so we could maybe take the full 10 minutes for the debrief, 5-minute debrief and a little discussion. Does that work, Wendy?
Thank you for that suggestion, Edwin. So yes.
How was it for you?
Okay, yeah, thank you for putting up with my blah, blah, blah. And I feel like I was gambling, when I was gabbling, because I feel like I suppose I feel like you all know the process so well, and I'm trying to imagine that you don't, because that's the remit. So I find that, when I'm describing the how-to to 3 people, who know the process so well, it doesn't feel as natural for me. So it felt a bit kind of artificial. Whereas when I do it with people, empathy circles that are where nobody knows, it comes from the heart, whereas somehow it just felt artificial. So yeah, I really commend the wonderful acting ability of Celine and Edwin in the offering the challenges. And yeah, I hope I've taken on board that idea of actually listening to what the challenge is rather than, trying to correct it. So thank you. I invite Beat, whoever would like to go next to, how was it for you?
Well, I like that, although you said that we all know the process, but you still deliver a full explanation, very thorough. And I like also at the end, you also check with us, do you have any questions? Something is unclear. And of course, when you step into all this interruption and very grounded way, like I could see who is the leader here, and I can just leave in your hands. You know, just I knew that you will support me when I need.
Thank you, Beata. And I have to say one more thing that I forgot to say. I thought it was wonderful that when the challenge came, you kept on just reflecting Celine's question, you know, her interruption. You were just brilliant in your reflective listening. That was just great. I didn't have to say anything, you know, you did it great. It was wonderful. So thank you.
I think I learned that after that first mistake.
Celine?
Yes, so I enjoyed your how-to. I liked that you said that the circle is very structured and that it supports dialogue, and that the facilitator used the word oversees. And I like that very much. I think maybe you gave a little more information than you really needed to. And reminder that we can add things if we didn't say everything right at the start, you know, as the circle's progressing, you can add something if you forgot it. I had a hard time with you not intervening when I was doing the challenge with Beata. And it left me, I don't know, uncomfortable afterwards. And then in the conflict with Edwin, and you kept saying thank you. And I thought, thank you for what? So that didn't work as well for me as maybe a more direct, I'll tell you what I like. I like to use either the values or the roles to get somebody to shut up, basically, or go back to where they belong. And I'll stop there. Maybe Edwin has a moment to say some more.
Yeah, I like the overall attitude. It's one of learning and growth, you know, the getting better at the how-to, you know, working on that, the how to listen better. And there's sort of like this overall attitude that really feels good to me about sort of a growth and learning, sort of a mindset that I really enjoy. Yeah, I did think they could have intervened sooner when Celine was, you know, kind of interrupting my reflection. And I did, you know, Beata had said, oh, energy, you know, I don't know how to deal with energy. So I thought I'd ramp up the anger part there, because I have seen that with people just lashing out with anger, you know, and just like Beata did with the reflection, just, oh, you're feeling angry, you're feeling, and they're more angry than, oh, you're feeling really super angry. And then suddenly the anger is just gone, you know? So anyway, that's why I kind of threw the anger out, you know, to be kind of angry about Celine interrupting, just to show that, you know, if that can be heard, that can kind of, the listening can dissipate it. There is sort of a feeling of being apologetic, like, oh, sorry, Celine, you're, you know, sorry to, it's like I just like, hey, this is the rules, you've agreed to the rules, let's stick to it. I'm going to reflect back what you say, but I would be careful about saying, is that okay? And what if Celine had said, no, that's not okay? And then you get into it, they suck you into a discussion outside of the structure of the circle. And I've seen that happen too. You know, I don't know if you know what I mean, that we want to stay in the process as much as possible, but by getting into a conversation, explanatory conversation outside of the structure of the circle, you kind of, that, and those can be like gateways to it, like, oh, is that okay? Can we do that with you? And you say, no, I don't really want to do this. I want to do something else, you know, and then you respond to that, and it sort of derails the whole process. So yeah, that's just something that I try to be careful of So yeah, otherwise, yeah, I was really enjoyed it.
I'd
that
like
was
to
just
thank
some
you
thoughts.
all. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I really feel like I've learned, because, you know, when I interrupted originally, it was like jumping in too much. And then latterly, it would, you know, I need the middle way. I need to get, you know, a middle way between being too conciliatory and being too, you know, pouncy kind of thing. So I really have learned a lot. Thank you, the three of you, very much indeed.
Thank you. Lovely group.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, anything else about facilitation, any questions or anything? We could open it up for that before we go back.
I'll tell you one thing that worked very well for me when I was doing the interruption. The person doing the facilitation said, he was Indian too, Celine, please return to your role as the passive listener. It was so clear and it wasn't personal at all. And I thought, oh, okay. It was like, please return to your chair.
Yeah, that's
That
good.
you agreed to sit in, right? It's like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole sort of point of the challenges, you know, it is to help us grow. And I feel like I hopefully will really grow through this experience. So thank you.
yeah, I know what you mean by it's a little superficial, you know, we're kind of role playing, so it's not quite as real as when it happens, you know, with real people, but it does seem to help. So I mean, people kind of learn from the experience. So
I do have a query, I suppose, about the question, you know, that we have. We have it for sort of 2 weeks running, really. What are your thoughts, concerns? And I know last week, Sally in the group we're in decided to change the question totally. And yeah, I suppose my query is how much, as the facilitator, should one change that question as part of this training? You know, as a trainee, should you just keep to that question for the 2 weeks? Or
the advantage of the question is that we're kind of learning through the process about facilitation. In the next session, we're going to be doing whatever question you want as facilitator. So we could have done that this time, but I guess it is effective in terms of talking about challenges, right? Like Beata was able to talk about challenges of not being connected, you know, being disconnected. So we're sort of using the time to learn as well, but then it's not as spontaneous as you have. So it's, you know, yeah, which we'll do next week. It's not as, got to close the room, close our rooms.
Celine, thank you so much for the challenges. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for saying that. I won't feel so bad.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Group. What happened?
Okay, the other group there, they don't want to come back yet.
Oh.
Did you lose Sally or?
She had some connection problems, but she was in the room when we finished up, and I hope she'll come back. She may continue to have connection problems. I don't know. Dwayne needed a bio break, so we left. So maybe, I don't know, maybe she, oh, there she is.
There she is, yeah.
She's
Okay.
a user.
It's forcing her back, yeah, I see. Okay, we're all back.
Yeah. Is everybody back?
Yep.
Okay, so I believe it's my opportunity now. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Thanks, Wendy. So this is your opportunity to just debrief for like 30 seconds to 1 minute. And I'm just going to call people's names, and you can just briefly say, you know, what was important for you or part of your experience that happened. Anastasia, would you like to go first?
I like to be in the group, and Anne and Bill gave me some great tips, and thanks them for them. I like the experience, and I thought very much. Thank you.
Okay, Altonia, am I saying your name correctly?
You muted.
Altonia.
Yes, ma'am. My group was like blah. I did not enjoy it at all. I'm just kidding. We had a lot of fun there. It was a blast being in there with Jay and Anastasia, and watching them facilitate, which they both did a phenomenal job. I learned some things for myself. So I can't wait to work on those things that I need to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. Sally.
Yeah. Well, the timing kind of crapped out, and then I got disconnected. Which kind of changed the whole way I went about it. But Garan was amazing speaker, and I loved everything he did. I really enjoyed what he was going through and developed. Dwayne did an excellent job as the overall facilitator, and Lou, he feels a little guilty, but I asked for an unbelievably hard challenge, which he did. And then I was like in the middle of the ocean in a whirlpool with, yeah, I was in a rowboat, no oars, spinning, and had no idea what was happening because conversations everywhere. But I managed to get out of that.
Thank you, Sally. Jay?
Yeah, it was a great experience. And I feel like, I feel like I'm getting better every day. And I definitely had a little less nerves than I did last time, but there's definitely things that I do need to work on, like the introduction. I kind of just breezed through it. So I definitely need to slow down there and really, make sure that I'm explaining it and, not just breezing through it, like, assuming that everybody knows what it is, because yes, everyone knows in this environment, but in the real world, they won't know what it is. So it will be really important to thoroughly explain it. So that's something that I'm going to be working on for next time. But overall, I think it went really well. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay. Kelly?
Sure. Thank you. I had a really good time. I was with DJ, Linda, and Larry popped in. And I like the process of learning. I was a facilitator training. I got a lot of pointers. I like the challenges. Just like Jay said, just get better every day. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Is it Garan? Garan, is that how you say your name, Garan?
Yeah. Now, it was a nice experience. I enjoyed the challenge and also how the whole experience went. And also I learned from Sally some reaction that she had with the challenge. Then it was a really nice experience. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I could learn also.
Thank you. Paula Latina.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed the group. I really enjoying getting to know everyone in this group. I really liked I actually liked the challenges because it kept me present. Instead of judging or critiquing myself, I could just kind of feel into like the situation. And I really appreciated this time. It was really interesting that Kelly and DJ and I together were in a group because we know each other outside of this group. And so it was like a refreshing experience, I think, for us all to have within a larger group. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying this whole process, learning about it. It's such a valuable tool. Yeah, and that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Ina. Anne?
Yeah, it was a great breakout room. It was lovely to be with Anastasia and Jay, who are both going to be really competent, I'm sure, really soon. Beautiful facilitation and great to be sharing with Altonia too, and how just a privilege to be sitting with them all, and Bill, who has so much experience and wisdom to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Dwayne?
Yes. I was in the group with Lou, Garan, and Sally, and I had a really good experience. There were challenges in the process. For me as a facilitator, I think one of the regular challenges that, for me, one of the most challenging things is the connectivity issues, actually, when someone's having a challenge being connected and coming in and out. And so, that was a challenging experience. The other thing too, though, I'm someone that has to take medicine for the rest of their lives. And so occasionally my medicine creates some different reactions in my body. And so it was really challenging for me to be present and to concentrate today. So it was really a good learning experience, and also an awareness that reminding myself that people show up in different ways, and that it's always important as a facilitator to be aware, again, where I am in the process, but also to be aware, and Lou mentioned this in the group, of having this awareness of the participants in the group and where they might be based on my perception. So it was a good experience, and thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Is it Beata?
It's Beata, yes.
Okay.
So I forgot a little bit how challenging Empathy Circle can be. I did training in August, and then I started attending groups and facilitate them. And they're always easygoing because there are no challenges. So I assume that I'm growing as a facilitator, but today I was reminded that I have a lot to learn. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Bill?
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked enjoyed my group. It's just great to be with Altonia and Anastasia and Jay, who I agree are just really bring so much warmth in themselves. I feel that the empathy circle helps reveal who we are rather than gives us something that's not us. And I am always very appreciative when I have the opportunity to see that the inner workings of human beings who are basically compassionate and want to do the best. And so especially in these troubled times, I really appreciate that, and the bravery too to bring that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Lou?
Yeah, I was in the breakout with Dwayne and Garan and Sally, and it was a great breakout. Dwayne did a great job of facilitating, and both Garan and Sally did nice jobs with their turns, and Sally really showed a lot of resilience. And she described that she asked for a challenge, and I gave her pretty difficult time and she kind of went spinning, but then she found herself again. And I think there was good learning that came out of that for everyone, including me, about, you know, my judgment about how difficult to be. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Lou. Celine?
Well, I was in a wonderful group with Beata and Wendy and Edwin. And Beata and Wendy facilitated with a lot of skill and a lot of heart. And then I got to get into like a shouting match with Edwin. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it a lot. So it was a great time.
Thank you, Celine. Wendy?
Okay, well, having to sort of mediate that shouting match was, yeah, my shoulders were up here. So it was a great learning experience. Beata did a wonderful job. And because there was only one participant, then I had to do that role of having challenges. And I really welcome the role playing that went on. And I learned so much, and it made me realize how much more I've got to learn, so much more to learn. So thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Larry?
Well, I just love these empathy circles. And I'm just sitting here thinking, if we had only a fraction, just 1/10 of the budget of the Department of Defense or the United Nations or NASA, we probably wouldn't even need a Department of Defense anymore. Love it. Awesome. What a great privilege it is to be, you know, in these rooms with everyone. And I just love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Linda had to go. She wasn't feeling well, but Linda did a fantastic job with the group that I was in. And I'm sorry that she couldn't be here. So I'll just speak a little bit, and then it's Edwin. And I think everybody got a chance to speak. Yes. So I had a great time. I had a lot of fun. It's such a privilege to be here and to be part of this. And it just fills me up with all kinds of wonderful ideas, and kind of what you were saying, Larry, how, you know, just the potential of listening and being a good listener, what magic that is. So it's up to you now, Edwin.
Okay, for me, it was, I really just love the learning and growth that takes place. It's like you can just see everyone sort of pushing the edge of their learning and growth. There was one topic that came up as being the facilitator and being distracted. You know, I have that too, dealing with all the things to juggle and you know, all the details. You kind of get a bit detached and just distracted. And what came up in our circle was just sharing that, saying, hey, I'm feeling a little distracted. I'm feeling disconnected. That sharing of your truth actually creates a sense of connections. That was something that came up. And also sort of the question of how do we really listen, you know, more deeply to each other. And you can just have that sense that when you're listening, you can sort of sense, yeah, how well am I listening? There's sort of a feeling of that sense of connection and sort of intimacy that can happen. And how do you really create that? And that was actually just a question we were sitting with. And there's certainly a lot to be said about that. In fact, I think we need a whole module, you know, 4 or 5 sessions just to explore that. And it was also in something that came up too was, you know, even though there might be issues in the circle to begin with, there's anxiety and so forth, but by doing multiple rounds, when people just feel heard, it just creates this a positive, constructive feeling of feeling connected, a greater sense of intimacy and that mutual understanding. And that kind of just deepens over time. So that's it for me. Thanks.
I forgot who's up next. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, who is doing the closing?
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Andy, for doing that. So do I invite any trainer final comments? Does anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, actually, I'll say a little something. So I think, you know, responding to when there are disruptions in the circle, I think of as this process, that the first thing is to notice that there's something going on that doesn't fit. And the second thing is to decide whether to intervene or not, because every time something happens, it isn't necessarily time to intervene. For instance, the listener isn't really hearing the speaker fully. So do you let the listener and the speaker work that out? Like the speaker says, no, that wasn't it. And you go, you know, or maybe someone makes a comment, a silent listener makes a comment, but it's like a one-word comment or a two-word comment. And do you intervene every time, or do you let it go? So that thing about deciding whether to intervene or not is another step. And then the next step is, if you decide to intervene, what do you do? And there might be a step or two after that, but that's just, I wanted to kind of just identify those as part of the process of figuring out what to do when you're a facilitator.
Thank you.
And actually, so I will say on that third step of what to intervene to do, that you mostly want to invite the person back into what their role is, as opposed to criticizing them for what they're doing. Don't tell them, well, you're not supposed to do that, whatever. Just invite them back into that, remind them what their role is. Yeah.
Thank you, Lou. That reminds me of something the advice Celine gave in our group. Would you like to repeat that phrase?
I don't know what you're referring to. Would you say it, please, Wendy?
Oh, sorry, it was that, I think you said it was somebody who said to you when that
yes.
idea of, I invite you to go back into your role, something. Yeah.
Yes, well, it was stronger. It was, please return to your role as the silent listener.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any other trainer want to say anything? Larry, thank you.
I'd just like to remind each of us, all of us at the same time, of our role of being awesome, living human beings, and how wonderful it can really be on this planet when we live this way. Thank you all.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you. And any other trainer?
Yeah, I'd like to add something, if I may. And I think I've said it before, but I can't remember if it was in this cohort. And it's like, just do allow yourself to really try to master the how to and practice it, because that really preempts the challenges. It prevents them arising. So do spend time on that. And then I was drawn to add to what Lou said, was there's usually time within the circle, having identified there's a problem and that you are going to do something, to figure out when to do it, to figure out a solution. And I love that about the empathy circle, that you can pick it up at a different point in the circle if you're not sure what to do immediately. And I love that that's the case.
Thank you, Anne. Anybody else? Thank you. So let's review what we did in this session. We practiced introducing the empathy circle process with the instructions on how to participate in an empathy circle. And those who wanted to practiced facilitating an empathy circle, including having the opportunity to ask for challenges. And we debriefed that experience and what's coming up next week. So in session 4, we will practice facilitating an empathy circle, and this time without having to do the actual introduction, the actual how-to. But you will have the opportunity to ask for challenges again, either none or low or medium. The assignments for this week, so Edwin will kindly send the email with a reminder to fill out the session feedback survey, and he'll probably kindly put that link in the chat now. He will, in the email, there will be the invitation to hold the empathy buddy call, and you will be paired up with a new empathy buddy. So please make that connection with the person you're allocated to be with. And then if you have time, to try to facilitate an empathy circle with your family or friends. And we invite you now to please post one feeling that you have as a result of being here today. If you could post that in chat. And just reading a few: relaxed, grounded, satisfied, gratitude, grateful, peace, connected, happy, joy, hopeful, and of course, happy birthday to Bill and to Edwin. Okay, so I think it's time to call it a halt unless anybody has anything else that they would need to say. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for your time and for joining us. And there's this jazz hands appreciation. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you all next week, same time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
See you
Thank
soon.
you. Bye.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
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 birthday.
birthday, Bill.
Bye.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Edwin.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
So we hopefully all train